Hello there, magic monsters. You crazy people, why are you here? Because I don't know why. But I'm glad you're here, and I welcome your presence. Your presence is present enough, but cool stuff would be cool too. Just kidding. Hey, how you doing? So, let's see, what am I doing? I didn't set up my screen. Oh, it's at the right width. That's nice. I often change this when I'm not streaming, making it wider or smaller. It's there's extra space on my widescreen monitor here, but I didn't change it, and I think I was actually at a coffee shop, which is why this is all the way over here. Anyways, yeah, I decided to stream today, so here we are. That's why we are all here today. All the choices in life, you know, the things you control and the things you don't control, and the things that you think you control but probably don't control. These are my notes for what I'm doing. Someone in the Discord got me in a bit of a rabbit hole that I've been thinking about for a while, but I decided to start doing, and now I'm like, oh, deep in it, and it's great. We've got this great addition to objects here. We've got, or attributes, I guess. Oh, yeah, item attribute objects. Attributes and objects. Basically, objects and attributes work well together, of course, and in this case, flaming. And we have a new thing, a couple new things, requisite attributes, and some options here too. So the options here, this affects all of this type, so all prefixes. There can only be one prefix per, and this script will now automatically manage that. And if this is true, then you can choose whether it replaces others as well. So for instance, if you've got a flaming sword and you replace it with a icy sword, icy will replace flaming. But if you untick that, then flaming will stick and you won't be able to replace it. So that's just a choice, your choice. I did see the news that it snowed where I was. I actually was driving from the more proper Bay Area to north of the Sacramento area yesterday. 90-minute drive, nothing bad. But and no traffic, but both directions there. Well, actually, in the Sacramento area you couldn't see the hills, but in the Bay Area side you could see the hills. And then coming back, you could see a lot more because the clouds had cleared. They're still very cloudy, but it was more like, I don't know, fluffy clouds. And it was at sunset. It looked very pretty. It looked like a different country almost, because we don't usually get clouds like that, and we don't usually have snow on the mountain or hill, and it almost looked like a different country because of the pink clouds and the snow on the hill. Pretty neat stuff. It's cold though, so there's that. I don't think it's completely gone. I think it's probably still there. I can't see anything from where I am, but I mean, I guess if I looked out the other direction, maybe I could, but I don't look out that direction. So yeah, pretty neat stuff. Doesn't happen very often. It was all the talk of the town. The news was covering it and all that stuff. I was going to say something. What was I going to say? I forget now. That's weird. Sometimes when I think that, when I forget what I was going to say, I think, shoot, I hope this isn't the sign of dementia. I should go for a walk. Ha. Excuse me. So, what do we got going on? Yeah, we also have incompatible attributes. So you can't add rare here because it's already required, so you can't do that. But you can add other attributes and make them incompatible. So you could say, I don't know, broken. And if you do that, that means that broken can never be added to flaming. So flaming and broken can never be at the same time, just as a thing. So that's cool. And then there's other things like, so now these ones are this is actually why it was started. Somebody wanted this idea of broken, damage, new, worn, and all that, and to have these affect the object, because you know, right now in version 3.x or whatnot of the game modules, if you have a prefix, let's look at some stat settings here. Do any of them have stat settings yet? All right, let's add a stat setting. Let's add might or damage. Do we have damage? Yes, we do. Damage. Okay. We can add damage, and let's say our damage for power is, I don't know, 0.3. and we have an object, so we're going to choose weapon, and we're going to choose sword, and sword has stat effects, damage, and damage is going to be a value of, say, 3, and it's also going to have attack. So it's got attack and damage. I'm going to actually remove damage to put the order in the way my head likes it. So let's say we got 1 attack, or maybe 2d3, so it can do 2 to 6 damage. And then if you have a sword that's flaming, so go back to your prefix or power sword, the proficiency of damage would be applied to the actor holding the sword. So picture in your head a character, they equip the sword, 2d3, damage is 3, their damage would be then multiplied by 0.3, or 1.3 rather, so they'd get a 30% boost to that damage value of 3, so it would then be 3.9, I guess. And that might be fine, but let's say that you have a power shield, and I don't know, some other thing that is affecting damage. So now your damage is being affected by something else. This will multiply the entire damage value of the character. So it wouldn't be localized to the sword or to the object this is on. And I realize that might not be what people intend. For some folks in your game, you might say, well, the power sword, itself has damage of 3. The sword is 3. If it's it's an axe, maybe it's 2d4, and so now it's 30%. Before you want this 30% to affect the object, not the character. I mean, you might say a power 1 is going to have 0.5, 50% more damage, and that's a lot for a character that might bubble up with spells and buffs and other objects and other things. So, in that regard, we're now going to allow this to affect only the object itself. So that if this is on the sword, then the sword will have a damage of 4.5, 50% boost, and that's what the character will get. That's what the actor will get, 4.5 boost. But the actor will not get a boost to their total proficiency in damage, which would give it a 50% increase. That's going to be an option. Just a built-in option, so the math will just handle that. So the big question I have, I've got my list things because I wanted to make sure I got a lot to do still, but I want to make sure that I have the option of saying, that item attributes affect the object itself. And you can mix and match these too. This is the other thing is you've got here, these are now starting item attributes. So this is a sword. It's a new common. So it's common, it's new. And you can change those. But now all of these are going to be starting as new common items, except the Master Sword is a new rare item. These might not affect the stats per se, but let's say that new does. Let's say that when you got new and the stat effects, well, there's nothing but damage stat effects. I should make sure these are saving. I'm pretty sure. Oh, there it is. Pretty sure these should be saving, but I should check that. Interesting that this is not selecting it if it's already there. Damage. All right. So we have damage, and actually, yeah, we're going to copy this and paste it to these. Okay, and so new is going to be a proficiency of 0.1, or 0 really, because 0 means no change. Worn is going to be proficiency of -0.1. Damage will be a proficiency of -0.4, and broken will be a proficiency of -0.8. So the value of damage will be reduced by 80% if it's broken. Now this is something that you'd want, I think, on just the object, whereas power might actually be something you don't want on just the object. So you do want power to affect the character, while this affects the object. So where does the option live? That's the big question. It doesn't live on the object because the object might mix and match between different things. So it has to live on these themselves. So it's going to have to be live in settings. And I suppose it's going to be living in options up here. So let's do that. All that talk. Item attribute. Probably this one. And let me go back and see the thing we are looking at. Quality, damaged, settings. Must have changed that and not realized I should change it back. All right. I'll keep that debug for now. Close all other tabs to the right to clean this up. All right, so we got this script here. I believe this is our right one. Let's see. Options, see if we do. Okay. General header, show general stuff. We can break this down a little bit. We have our start row, end row, start row, end row. Okay, so we're going to show... we'll just do... Yeah, we'll make this. Show distinct and replace. Just to break this up so that it's more broken up. They say it's hard to do, but that was pretty easy for me. And now we're gonna do show. What are we showing? We're showing local or effect option. And for this one, we are going to say, is this also going to affect all of the same type? I think so. I can't, well, I guess it doesn't have to affect all of the same type. Would there be a prefix or a suffix or some other modification to an item that affects the item and another one of the same type affects the character? It's possible. Yeah, so I guess this won't affect all. So we're going to say, well, we need to go to the item object too, or item attribute, ItemAttribute.cs. And up here we've got our distinct, replace others, public, bool, effects, actor equals true. And that's going to be the default as it affects actor. So we're going to say copy and paste. We'll just copy this and paste it here. And we're going to say affects actor. And when true, the stat effects will be applied to the actor or other. Hey, what happened there? Other I have stats object which owns the game item object list which holds the item object that contains this item attribute. Get it? That's a lot, right? When false, the stat effects will be applied to the item object itself prior to those effects impacting the actor. And these should be E and E, and then item attributes attached to an item object can all affect it in different ways. That's kind of okay. And then we need to change this to affects actor and affect actor affects all. No, so we will move that label gray. And that should be it for this one. We will need to check this on a per object or per attribute basis now because it doesn't affect them all. It didn't save my changes. Don't forget to give a like and a subscribe, y'all. Y'all. You all. I'm tired today. Oh, I was last night. It was like 8:30, and I was like, my brain's dead. It's been a long week, etc., etc. I'm too tired to code, and so I just said, I'll just play some Civilization, which, of course, that's a freaking mistake. Do not play Civilization. You know you get addicted to it. And then at 1 a.m. I went to bed. 1:20 actually, to be precise, because holy shit, I do get addicted to that game. And now I'm tired because I can't sleep in. Because, God forbid, I actually sleep in. Anyways. Okay. So, effects actor. We can change that now. So none of these will be affecting the actor. What if I hold shift down? Let's see. I'm going to try something. If key shift, then holding shift changes will affect all excuse me, I should have just kept that there, all those objects. So if we're holding shift, we are going to say var temp option equals module objects.effects actor, and then if temp option does not equal modules object.effects actor, then we'll do something similar to what we did down here, which is this. For each ItemAttribute in game module objects of type, whatever the object type is of this, and we can actually make this. Let's do this. Private Ryan. Hey, can't type. Private. This is gonna be, I believe, a item attribute array. Attributes of this type. It's going to be that. So now on all these, we can just say attributes of this type. That's a little easier. I don't know how often I do this. Let's find out. Oh, more times. Enough times to make that worth it. All right. And to delete that. Finger licking good. It's been a while since I've had KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Finger licking good. All right. So now I believe this means that when we hold shift down, we'll get a little message up here that by holding shift down, it will affect all of the all of the things. So let's find out. Let's first look to see that these are not all the same. This one does, this one does, this one doesn't, this one doesn't. Okay. It's not instant. Oh, okay. So, yeah. So I'm holding shift down, nothing happens until it redraws. I let go, nothing happens till it redraws. So it just takes a little bit, but it does redraw whenever you go over this. So if I come off, hold shift and go up, it'll do that. And now it didn't work. That's too bad. Let's see. Let's figure out why. Hello, Loner Wolf. What? I do. I stream and I have a thing. The problem is I don't put my face on my streams. And that, I think, limits my reach because all the cool kids have their faces on their streams. But maybe I will. I'm moving to a new house, hopefully next week, which is very exciting. I've never owned a house for myself to live in. And so I won't have any money right away because I'm spending it all on the house. But once I'm able to buy stuff, maybe I'll have a cool background. And then I'll put my face. I also have a nice camera. That's the other thing. I don't have a nice camera for my face. And my face needs a nice camera. My face is okay. It's pretty good. But it's better with a nice camera. Nice lighting and all that stuff. Yeah. Why isn't it working? I would think it would be. Okay, let's see. Oh, I know why. Because I totally didn't change the code. So we're going to say effects actor. Yeah. This could be a link. But I don't want to make it a link. All right. Thank you, Aloner Wolf. Got this Civilization 5 song in my head. They got nice music in that game. I wonder how much the music plays into the addictiveness of it. Like, if the music was... I guess a lot of people play other music during it. I'm not one of those people, but if the music was really bad, then maybe I would. But the music's pretty good. And I wonder if that changes things. Okay, so we're going to turn it off for everything. And it didn't work. Alright, why isn't it working? Debug.log. Oops. Holding shift is holding, or key shift should affect all. Debug.log should affect, I don't care about spelling, ItemAttribute.object name. All right. Yes. Oh my gosh, you shouldn't follow me if you hate that, because sometimes I just stop. I actually was doing Legend of the Stones, and I stopped. Not because I stopped working on the game, but kind of because I started updating game modules. I needed to do quests. Here's the problem. I got to the point where I say, I need quests. I need to add that to game modules. So I started working on quests, and then quests turned into, oh, game modules v4, and now I'm making game modules so much cooler, and I'm going to have to redo a lot of the stuff. Not redo completely, but update it. Anyways, so I didn't really stop, but there's some gaps. There's some gaps, for sure. All right, let's see. Clear this out. Yeah, so that's not happening. That's interesting. I wonder why. Oh, I know why. Because I'm caching it after I change it. That's why. So I was caching it after I changed it so there was no official change at that point in the code. That's my guess. Wow. Sure is taking a long time to reload script assemblies. I think I need to quit Unity and load it up again. Yeah, I usually, over time, it gets slower and slower. Alright, let's try it. Alright, good. So they should all be off now. They are. Now they should all be on. Ah, perfect. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Alright, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to save. First, I'm going to see. Sasanes do have damage. Okay, quit. I want to check to make sure those are saving, because I really feel like I've updated those and then suddenly they weren't there, but maybe not. And it's possible also that Unity quit on me, because that unfortunately happens. And then, where is it? And this is the other thing that annoys the shit out of me. Sometimes things disappear, so it's hard to tell whether they are gone from the list or whether they're just down on the list. All right. wow, it's all the way over here. This isn't the right one. Is it the right one? Ah, it's just the wrong scene. Nope. What the hell project was I in? Probably this one. I've got too many active projects. That's the project I was working on, but then I realized, okay, I need to shift this to its own project because the party-based RPG, these demo things aren't meant to do, aren't meant to be in, like, you're not meant to install this into your main project. This is a demo project, so hopefully people will install into a clean project, explore it, and then see how it's run, and then steal from it, versus installing into your main project. So I'm developing it in its own project. I'm also updating the code at the same time. I should probably do backups too. Let's see. Check and changes. Wow, 4 gigabytes of changes. Oops. All right, well, that's going to happen. So, did these save? They did. Okay, good. That's good. All right, so now we have the effects actor, but we haven't yet done the math update on that, and that's important. I can't forget to do that. So let's just make, this is this one right here. All right, and we need to make the math update on the computation. So let's think. When you ask for the effects of the item object, we can see this in our player script. We got our players here, and they're not here because we haven't pressed play, but the scripts are here. Actors, we have our demo actor, and the demo actor has a compute get other levels. This is the way you get, so the actor has all its things that affect its stats, and you have to gather all the other levels, and you have to define for yourself, for your project, what things affect the player. So in this project, we start out by creating a basic list of other modification levels, and that's the thing. The modification level is the thing that has all the data. And then we add our conditions, we add our quests, we have our equipped items, so we'll come back to that. We have our actor race and actor class. I'm actually going to change these and put these into a list of attributes, but we'll do that another time. And then we have our quests from the party quest. So, for example, in this game demo, there are 4 characters, and each one has conditions. Each character has quests. Each character has equipped items, etc., in a race and a class. But the party itself also has quests, and the quest system can affect stats too. Active quests, failed quests, and successful quests can all have an impact on stats. That way, for instance, if you fail a quest, maybe your luck goes down, or maybe your luck goes up. I don't know. Whatever you write in your story. And so we're bringing in the party quests at this point too, because those affect all the players. And this is on the player itself, but this will affect all the players. So each player will bring in those effects. And then you return that. That gets used, it's automatic. You do have to create this, just to define it. You can steal from this. You can actually inherit from demo actor yourself, and then you can override this if you want, or you can just not add anything else if you're fine with the way it operates. But so this is the equipped items. This is the important bit. When you have a sword equipped, it does affect your stats. So if we look at this is going to be a game item object list, and where is it? Gather levels. This is a game inventory actor. Yeah, so the demo actor inherits from game modules inventory actor, and that inherits from game modules actor. So you might inherit from game modules actor, but the inventory actor is slightly different because it has the inventory system. You don't have to use that if you don't want. Get other levels. All right, so we're adding the modification levels from this, and that is on the game item object list up here. And we're going to get the modification levels. And for this one, we're creating a new list, modification levels. For each object in the list, we're going to add its modification levels to that. So let's go to this. This is on the game item object, get modification levels. All right, and this is where the magic's going to happen. So right now, we create a new list with our main modification level of the object itself. Now, to visualize this, let's go visit an object, and we can see what it looks like. So the sword, this is the modification level right here. So it has attack and damage. If you go back to the script, you can see that's going to add this modification level to the list. And then it's going to go through and add the range of modification level from every attribute on the item. So every game item object has a game item attribute list, which is all the things on it. In this case, it might be a new sword of power. This new doesn't have to be part of the name. That's an option in the attribute. It can have an attribute that has no effect on the name, essentially. So it can be a sword, a power sword that is new and is damaged and common. And the damage we know has an effect. So this is where we're going to do the magic. So we're only going to add the attributes that affect the actor here. And then we're going to change this, I think, to affect that. So let's put a note here. Add only attributes that affect the actor. So we're going to say for each var game item attribute in attribute list if game item attribute affects parent affects actor. If it doesn't affect the actor, then we're going to continue. Otherwise, we will add it. So we're just do levels.add and like that. The item object list modification levels, item attribute list rather, item attribute list, game item attribute list, modification levels is get modification levels. All this goes through each of those. I guess we could update this to change that. Yeah, let's do that. We're going to make a slight change to what we just did. I think this will be better. When we go to our game item object, we're going to just undo all that. Okay, so we are going to do this call here to modification levels, which can also get modification levels. And we're going to say, we're going to put bool here, affects actors only, equals true. And then we will do a new thing here. We're going to update this here. So for each game item attribute in the list, if the game item parent affects actor, doesn't affect the actor. So we'll do this. If not affects actors only, then return that. Otherwise, return. We're gonna have to create a new list, I guess. So we'll just make var new list equals modification level list. Yeah, it's gonna be list modification level equal new list modification. I didn't do that right. Maybe it needs to be lowercase. Maybe it needs to be, there we go, maybe that. And this, no, new list. Something's going on here. What is the type? What are we doing? Game list modification level. Modification level. Yeah. What am I doing here? What's going on here? List modification level. New list equals new. Oh, I know what I'm doing. New list modification level. There we go. For each one in the list, modification level to add that if it affects the actor, and then return new list. Now this could be made into a link statement. And there it is. And then this can be made into a bool, or whatever operator that's called. And then this can be made into a lambda expression. Is that right? Delete all this, and then we can go boom, and boom, and boom. All right. And boom. And boom. All right. There you go. So now we're going to get the modification levels. Affects the actor only, true. If we're not affecting the actor only, then get the whole list. Otherwise, get return only the ones that affect the actor. All right. So now this code right here will just work as per usual, because we don't need to set here. We don't need to set that. Yeah. Now we're going to say, let's see. So now we did that. Now we need to modify this. So let's see. Let's just dig into this. We're going to make a list of modification level, get modification level. This is on the game item object, and this is parent modification level. So that's this. It's really only one thing. It's really just returning one thing. So this is actually, I think I was actually originally planning on having objects be upgradable. But I think instead they should just be separate objects. So instead of sword being level, you can instead have this new system to do level 1, level 2, level 3, or whatever, rather than having different modification levels. Yeah. So I think what we can do, if we go back to our usage of this, we can keep it here. So get the item object modification level and modify it by the item attributes that do not affect the actor. All right. So in this one, what are we going to do? This is essentially only going to return one modification level, and we then need to add to it the levels that affect the not actors. So to do that, there's a few things going on in my mind right now. One is, okay, for sword, we've got attack and damage. It doesn't affect anything else. It doesn't have any other effects. But if we do a flaming one, we need to add stuff to it. So if the stat effects for flaming are see, that's magic skills. Okay, well, if we flaming's, let's say flaming's going to add to the damage. It's going to add 1 and 0.1. So, and that's to any weapon that has it. And I don't know. Let's just pretend for shits and giggles here that it also affects your magic, fire magic skill, and that's going to give that a 10% boost as well. Now, the object, the weapon itself, sword, doesn't have the fire magic thing. So this is going to need to obtain it, essentially, with the get other levels. So I'm also thinking now in my head about caching too. So let's start by just adding it. So we're basically going to, if it has it, modify it. So damage will be modified. And this will then be 4 and 0.1. And then the other ones will be added to it. So first we get the levels. And this is really going to be just 1. So we'll put a note here. Oh yeah. So Feb 25, 2023. Is it 25th? Yes, it is. Levels will only have 1 entry at this point, as item objects only have 1 object, 1 modification level. So I guess it shouldn't live here. It should live here. So, we are going to say return var level equals that, and then return level. And then in the middle here, we're going to say for each var game item attribute in game item or item attribute list.list. For each one of these, if game item affects parent affects actor, then return, or not return, continue. So we're only going to do something if it affects if it doesn't affect the actor. And in our example, fiery, I think that does affect the actor, but we'll just pretend it doesn't for now. So we have our first level, and it's a single level, and so we're going to add to that. So for each var something in game item attribute dot modification level dot modifications, there we go, stat modification, we will say if level dot stat modifications or modifications dot contains stat modification. It won't be that same thing though. That'll be a different object, so it won't really be that. So what are we really doing here? Let's look at our modification. Stat modification looks like this. You can see the details here. Is it base? Is it per skill point? And other things. There's a lot of math in the end. that this has to handle and be set up with. This is the thing we're looking for. I think this target UID. That this is the thing being affected. There we go. So it's target UID. So if level dot effects list dot contains so the effects list, by the way, if we go back here, just to remind myself too, effects list, where is it? It's not here. It's not here. Where is the effects list? Oh, this is on the modification level. These are all the targets. Do I have a built-in thing? Nah, I don't think I do. All right, there's a lot of code going on here. We are going to say public bool has target and stat, or stat, and I'm going to say targets dot contains stat, and then public bool has target string stat UID, and then targets dot first or default or any stat x dot UID equals stat UID. So now you can search has target, and we're going to use that here. So if level dot has target stat modification dot UID target UID, that's going to be that. So if it has the target, then we're just going to add the data to it, append the values. Otherwise, we're going to add the target. I believe we're going to end up caching this, by the way. It's not going to be done every single time you have to get modification levels. This is going to be cached, but for now we're going to do it in the live, and then we'll set the cache up. So what are we doing here? All right, for appending the values, we're going to say we have the level. So we can actually we'll do this too. Public bool try get target stat, and this is going to be, let's see if I can remember this. Targets dot first or default. No. Yeah, first or default stat. X, yeah, sorry, messed up. X dot UID, or X equals stat. All right, so get the stat if, and we're going to say that's var out value equals that, and then out value, out, what is this? This is a stat modification. out value. Okay, and then out value equals that. Whoops. Oh. Yeah, because in this one we want to get, okay, first or default, x dot target equals stat. Okay, we're trying to get the stat modification out. And then return out value equals null, or does not equal null. So if it's not null, it returns true, and the out value, otherwise it returns false and null for the out value. And we can do this with the string option as well. I think there's value there. So we're going to do this, and target.uid equals stat.uid. And then for this one, we can return try get target for stat.uid and out. What would be the syntax here? I always get confused. There we go. It's going to be public. Out. Oh, and then try get target stat. Stat.uid. O. Or O equals out. I always get confused on this setup. Out. O. No. Something like this. Nope, that's not it. Gosh, why do I always get confused by this? Every time. It's only been like 3 times, but every time I can't remember exactly how to connect these two. Okay, maybe it's like this. If try get target stat.uid out var found then we'll say out value equals found, return true. Otherwise, return false. And out value equals null. Okay, that will work, but then we can clean it up because we can say return out value equals found. Maybe it can be made cleaner, but I don't care because this just works. Yeah, that should work. I think. F it, we'll do it live. All right, so now when we go back to our usage of has target, instead of saying has target, what we can do is if level dot try get target. This is actually gonna be try get stat modification. I get stat modification for the stat modification dot target UID out var modification. Then we do something else. We do something else. All right. So if we can get the stat modification out here, then we're going to call this stat modification. We'll just call it stat mod. Because this is there. We'll say this mod. Okay, so this mod dot value plus equals stat modification dot value, and this mod dot proficiency plus equals stat modification dot proficiency. Okay, so just to clarify, this is a lot going on here. This is a game item object. Level is this modification level. Imagine this whole box. And then for each game item attribute that doesn't affect the actor, all right, let's I'll use this thing, I think. All right, so for each stat modification in the list of attributes that don't affect the actor, all of their modifications, for each one of those stat modifications in the attributes, so now we're looking at power and broken and all those, for each one of those, if we have in the level, each individual line, if we have the stat modification, each one of these, then we're just going to add this to this value, which is that stat modification. We're going to add to that this. Or shit, not. Nope, we can't do that. Fuck. I'll tell you why. That would change the parent. That's the scriptable object. We can't do that. Do we have? We do not have. All right, so we need to create a local one of these on the game item object. This gets used a couple times, so we want it to be created here. So we're going to create a modification level on this object, the game item object. Wait a minute, we do have it. We never use it though. Okay, we'll use this runtime version created cached with item attribute effects. All right, so we'll use this, and we're going to start by whenever we get we're going to cache this later, so this is not going to be at runtime. It's going to happen only when the list changes and at start, basically. Those are the two times when this will happen. And so we're going to make use of this, actually. It's going to be null. It's starting out null because it's private. So we're going to make this cache automatic. We'll do that now. So when we call get modification level, wait. Okay, so this is gain all the, okay, just gotta, there's a, you know, a fair amount going on. Okay, so let's do something here. Okay, apparently I deleted it without copying it. All right. So I'm going to move this up here. Oh my gosh, what's going on? Okay. We're going to move this up here. And we're going to put this here. Modification levels gets the modification level of the item object, or was it the game item object, plus the attached game item attributes which affect the actor. Modification. And then this one down here, modification level, gets the modification level of just the object, the item object. And will cache modification level if null, at which point it handles all the game item attributes which do not affect the actor and so affect the game item object. All right. And then we're also going to do public void reset item modification level, and that's just going to do that equals null. Oh, yeah, I had an extra. You can tell I'm tired, by the way, when I do silly things like having an extra thing. What's going on here? All right, there we go. Okay, so now we have a method to reset the modification level. That's going to happen whenever we add a new thing to the list. And so now, so add attribute. So we have our add attribute, reset item modification level. So this doesn't actually do the computation right away. So we'll do this. True and bool compute equals true. So we'll make it so it does compute right away. So this is what we'll do. So we set that, and if not compute, then return. Otherwise, if we are going to compute, then we will say get modification level. This recomputes the null modification level. So there we go. So now we're going to do this at the time whenever we add an attribute and remove an attribute as well. Is there any other times? There's one other time. Add and get human name. Oh, okay, we don't need that. So there's just the add and remove. All right, so now we're resetting the cache appropriately. Modification level, reset, and okay. There we go. So if modification level is not equal to null, then return it. See, so there's our cache. We're going to set it down here by doing this. Modification level equals level, and then returning this. So we're going to set it here and return it here, and that's going to be our cache. So now, if it's null, whenever this is called, it will automatically cache itself. And then we've reset the cache on add and remove. And there's now a public method that you can do that yourself for whatever reason if you feel like it. Just for fun, I guess. All right, so let's finish this cache now. That's good. All right, so we get the parent modification level. If there is no attributes, then it's just going to return that. All right, so level, try get stat modification, and then just add to it. It's interesting though, because what if we gotta think about this a little bit deeper. So we're playing around with our power one, our prefix power, or was it flaming? Flaming. So let's say that the damage is affected by fire. So we can't affect fire because, circular logic. So now the damage is affected by fire. So instead of it's up by 1, but the proficiency goes up by 0.1 per per point in fire magic. And this again is going to be the proficiency of the object itself. So now instead of being a hard-coded add in the code here, this is just adding the proficiency. We still want to do that, but we also need to add this other stuff. So let's see. I think we might have a built-in thing for this. Stat that affects has no effect. Do we not have a built-in thing? It's probably computed somewhere else. just cleaning it up while I go along. It's been a while since I've actually looked at the script, so there's opportunities for cleanup. This is harder to read. If it's not activated and not base and not skill point, or if value equals 0 and proficiency equals 0, then it has no effect. So per skill point, it means this right here. That means there's a per skill point over here. It doesn't have to be exactly per skill point, but it's something like that. We can probably do something similar here. So stat, that affects stat. If it is base or a skill point, then return null. Otherwise, return the target. Is that essentially what we were doing before? Yep, it is. All right. And then this can just be this. All right. So we don't have the computation here. Where is the computation happen then? Because I guess yeah, so I guess what I'm thinking is the original is that this would be bubbled up to the actor. So this would be included in the get other levels there. But for the item object, it's got to compute it here. I could compute it here, but I think what I should do is pass in the owner, the IFStats owner, compute it on this level, and essentially pass it in as base values. So to do that, we're going to do a public float compute base value effect, and I have stats owner. So this is going to be something. So var base equals value equals base value. No. Value. Oh. Return value or final value. I don't know. Equals value. And then in the end, we're going to return final value. And we're going to do a similar thing for the proficiency. Final proficiency equals proficiency. Okay, and then to use that, we're gonna add these here. Compute final base value effect and pass in the owner, and then compute base proficiency effect, pass in the owner, and if owner equals null, then continue. I'm going to put a debug here, debug.log. Owner is null. Feb 25, 2023. This should be okay because some item objects will not have an owner, so it won't really be able to do this computation. Debug is here, so I can see when that happens and ensure I don't have a bug myself. Remove it later. We'll remove it later. Maybe. Actually, I see. So we can only compute the effects if we have an owner. So if we don't have an owner, then we still do something, but it's just going to be the base value and base proficiency. Okay, so owner equals null, stat modification.value, or that. All right. Okay. If the owner is null, then the object is not a part of an actor or other thing that I have stats. So we only add the base value proficiency. All right, there you go. So that should be better. Otherwise, we're going to compute those. How we can compute those? So I know I do this computation somewhere else, and I think we're going to have to move it around. So find the usage of stat modification. Add to periodic, add. These are on the new, where it creates a new periodic thing. Here we go. This is it. So this is actually going to be stat modification. So stat modification. We're going to be doing some refactoring here too. Oops. Okay, so this is going to be moved over, I think, because we keep saying stat modification, all the over. How many times do we say this? We say it all this times, and that tells me that it should be moved over to the stat modification itself. So I think what we're going to do is make a get effect on that. That's basically this same thing. So let's do that, and that's going to replace these two as well, by the way. Public float get effect on. I don't know which one of these things we need. So we're going to copy all this, bring it in here. And where's the replace? I always forget where the replace option is here. Select all occurrences, delete. All right. Okay, so we need the value add and value. And here we're going to say our value equals okay, var value equals 0f, var proficiency equals 0f, and then v mod effects equals stat modifications. Oops. Stat modification dot get effect on, pass in the target UID, points, proficiency, and owner, and v equals mod effect dot item 1, and proficiency equals mod effect dot item 2, and we can probably do that, and instead of this we'll just do plus equals that. Okay, plus equals that. Okay, so now we're adding each of those. Keep it simple or easier to read. All right, now we've got all these, and so we're going to do a similar thing up here, and the return signature here is same as this, but without I and the 1. So we're just, instead of continuing at each one of these, it's going to return 0, 0, return 0, 0. What is this? Why? Target UID will never be different. I don't know what I was thinking there. All right. Oh. I know what it was up here. If stat modification at target UID does not equal target UID, continue. All right. That's because yeah, the targets have to match. Good catch. Good catch. And we can do this also if stat modification has no effect, then continue. So we'll keep those both up there. Okay, those will do. If owner equals null, then return those. If the owner doesn't have the stat, continue. Okay, so interesting. What did this look like before I did all this? Should have notes. So I guess this must be working because this is saying if it's base. So I guess there must be an option where it's not base and it's not per skill point. Because this runs. Alright, so we'll redo all that. If there's bugs, I'll have to solve it. There probably will be. Let's be honest with ourselves. Alright. So I believe this means if is base is true, it means the base values are the only effect. So return those. if is per skill point is true. It means the effect is base multiplied by points. Turn that. But where's points coming from? Oh, points is coming from up there. And pass it in there. And let's just go back. So this is coming from conditions, game item objects, game stat, and we get our points from that. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Oops. Because this will run it. It's okay to not have an owner. That's not an issue or anything. If there is no owner, then we can't do any other computation. So return our values. If the owner doesn't have the stat or doesn't have the source stat, then return the values. Return our values. And the source stat in this case is fire. So the flaming sword would add damage. It would add to your fire stat if you had it. If you don't have it, then it won't add anything to your fire stat because you don't have it. And also it won't add any proficiency, extra damage based on that proficiency. So you do have to have this stat in order to have the effect. All right, so now we're going to get our values here, and we're going to using static Infinity PBR.modules stat repository. All right, so now we're going to compute based on this. I think this can be a switch statement. Is it easier to read? I don't know if that's easier to read. They're both easy and hard to read. All right, but we need to fix some stuff up here. All right, so I think what we can do is, instead of doing a whole list, we'll just do a return. If the source calculation is 0, it means the raw value proficiency. And that's just basically, if you have the stat, you can get more. So you can add a base stat and you can add just more raw points and proficiency. Just, oh, you have the stat, you get it. There's no extra calculation there. So we'll do that. And then we'll do points. So multiply by the points. And we'll return there. And so this is by the proficiency, so we're multiplying by the source game stats and skills proficiency, and this is going to be not source game stats and skills, source stat. All right. If the calculation measure is the final stat, then you're going to do that. And then if the calculation is lookup of another stat, then we're going to do all this. But we're going to look up for the lookup table first. And if it's null, then just return that. If we don't have the multiplier stat, then return that. If we can't find the lookup table, return the values as they are. If the owner doesn't have the required stat, then return the values as they are. Otherwise, we get the result from that, we add that, and then we return that. All right, finally, a very similar lookup table. So we can do or that. And then this is the same, right? Yeah, I think this is the same here and there. Then we can do final stat true to. This is the same too, right? Yeah, so that's the same. Okay, so what did I just do? I was deleting the wrong section. All right, so we're deleting this. Wait a minute. Why is this 4 and 4 and 4? Okay, let me clean both of these up first. Confused why this is the same. This should never. Look at value of sort. Look at value of another stat. One, two, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It looks like I actually had a bug. Like this was supposed to be 5. So these are our two things. This is 4, this is 5. And delete that. The difference is in this one we're saying value times the source stat, so fire, that final stat by the lookup table. In this one we're just doing the value times the output. So in one case you're including the final stat, in another case you're not. So what we're really doing here, the only difference is this bit for each one of these. So what we can say is perhaps var method for final stat value equals source calculation style equals 4 question mark, then that, otherwise 1. And at this point, if this is 1, then it has no effect. So now this should be the same. We can change this to value if style is 4. If the calculation style is 4, then do it by final, then multiply by final stat, otherwise value multiply by 1, i.e. no effect. All right. So Okay, I'm not going to invert because I'm you never know, I might add something later, so I'm going to not invert it. Okay. So we can use an enumerator for this instead of this equals this. So I think it would be probably good to update that. Or no, not now. Rabbit hole. Okay. Stay away from the rabbit holes. Finish what we're doing. All right, so now we have this get effect on via the stat modification. Right now it's only being called here, where we get that and add the things. But now we're also going to use it here. All right. So var stat mod effect equals get effect on this mod, no, points, I think this is 0, owner. Let's see, if we pass in 0 and 0, yeah, so if it's is skill points, is per skill points. That's a different context. Item attributes don't have that context because you don't have a skill point in an item attribute. Okay. Okay, that should give us the same result, but it will now compute all this other stuff. So if the owner doesn't have fire, then it will just return 1 and 0. Otherwise, it will return 1, which is 1 plus 0, and this times the number of points in fire, in theory. I'm going to add a to-do list here to test fire or flaming sword on an actor with the fire stat. We're going to have to test that at some point. All right, so that's what happens. That was a long thing. But that's what happens when you have the thing already. If you don't have it, we need to add it. So let's add it, and then I think we might rework this a little bit too. Now again, we're caching this, so this is different from the parent one. It starts with the parent one, but then it gets stuff added. So we can add anything we want. So first add the target. So modification level dot add modification. modifications.add stat modification.clone. So adding a clone of the stat modification. And then we need to do this. So this is where we're going to rework this. Compute the effect on the target stat from the perspective of the stat modification, providing the owner. Stat modification. What are we doing here? Wait a minute. This is gain this. Oh, it's gain a different one. Yeah, that's right. Shoot. Our found mod equals stat modification found mod. If we have it, then found mod equals this mod. Found mod effect is going to be this and this. Okay, and then this won't do anything else. Found mod equals that. We can't do that. So found mod equals modification level last one. No. Dot modifications last one. Okay. Okay, so if the parent one, which is level, has it, then our found mod is that. Otherwise, our found mod is the one we just added to the local one. Oh. There we go. We have to add to level, not modification level. This is going to be set later. Okay. And then do this. Where does... Okay. Okay. Let's restate this. If the parent has the level is if level has the stat modification, i.e. parent had it, then return that. Otherwise, add the level, add the stat modification to level and to level. We will add the effects to this object, either appending or setting as new values. Okay, I think that makes sense. Compute the effect and set the effect. Set the effect. All right. Because these will start 0 if we just create it, or start at 0. All right, I think that would work. Jeez Louise. All right, I think I need to take a break or drink coffee. Oh, I've got this coffee right here in a thermos. I haven't used it. That was a lot of gymnastics, mental gymnastics just now. I think this will work, maybe with some slight bug fixes. But it should work. And so, just to recap, if we've already cached it, we're returning the cache. So this will only happen once per cache cycle. We can reset it. We reset the cache and recompute it every time we add or remove an attribute from the item. And forward thinking here, let's add a thing here. Bool reset modification level equals true, because we might want that to be an option when we add stuff on the for each one of these. We don't want to do it for each one of these, is what I'm saying. So add attribute, distinct true, true, false. So if we're adding 10 attributes, we don't want to recompute it every single time. So we'll do that, and then we will wait till the end and say new item object dot reset item modification levels true. So add each, but do not reset the modification level until the end. Now we reset the modification level. That's going to be a little bit more efficient, just a little bit. And then the other one is this one. I'll do the same thing here. Starting attributes, same deal. You might start with a whole bunch. So we're going to do true, true, false, and then reset modification level true. We don't need that. Okay. Yeah. So starting attributes do not reset modification levels until after all are added. Now we can reset the modification levels, cache the value. All right. That should be good. Yep. Yep. That's good. Now get modification level will do the cache. So you can call it and it'll cache it if it's not been cached otherwise. Okay. That's good. I think this will work then. The next step will be to test it. I feel like I need to make a whole, like, an item creation game just to test all these different logical outcomes. You know? Because there's so many. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to call it a stream there. I think I'm going to take a little break and then figure out how to test this via the power of flaming sword, and just create a character that has the fire attribute. Give them a flaming sword. I mean, we kind of need just. This is what happens. I say I'm going to call it a stream, and then I'm like, well, let me just. What if I do this? Oh, wow. Play maximized. Play focused. So our character here, if we are a mage, we can do fire. Now give us the fire stat. Now I'm not checking in this demo, I'm not checking whether or not they actually have the things. Oh, wait a minute. I messed something up because we got a bug. Wait a minute. Why is that being called? Okay, well, somewhere I messed up because these aren't being affected anymore. So, gotta fix that bug first. Hit points are, so that's nice. It's not completely messed up, and I'm not getting errors. But these aren't being changed, and they should be changed when you have this. So my compute other levels might be need debugging. So I'm going to do that. All right, but I'm going to call it a stream. So thanks for hanging out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I appreciate you hanging out. I will see you later.